Yeah, so Concord ain't looking good, man. Concord is in a interesting situation because even when you watch like these shills do damage control for a game like Concord, you can just tell the disingenuous nature of it all because even they don't believe half of the shit that they're trying to convince themselves of with this game. They're trying to come up with every excuse as to why this game is not doing well. And it's honestly the same kind of excuse that they did with the Acolyte, right? They tried to say, oh, the Acolyte didn't do well because right-wingers, chuds, racists, misogynists, review bombs, this, that, whatever.
Yes.
Continue. And it's like, while all that might be accurate, to some extent, at the end of the day, the show failed because you didn't show up to watch the show. Like, you guys don't have the numbers. And it's the same thing with this game, right? So, yeah, we dogged on it. We made fun of it. It looks garbage for the most part. But at the end of the day, if you really had an audience, if you really had the modern audience, as you say you have, right, you would show up. There would be more than 700 of you at the bare minimum to show up, bro. You guys are the reasons why this game is failing right now. And I think they know that because I've seen a lot of posts on between like different forums and Twitter where people are just angry and they come to this realization that they don't actually have the numbers they thought they did. Like they'll say something along the lines of like, I don't like the fact that the right wingers are right about this or whatever. Like they actually admitting it, but still sticking to their ideology too at the same time. It's a little weird.
To be fair, Hypno, the numbers might be there for interest, but we all know these people have no jobs. These activists have no jobs and they can't afford $40 for what should be a free-to-play game. So
that's right.
But that is an element of it as well. Absolutely, yeah.
But what does right wing or left wing or just middle ground have to do with anything? It's a shit game. No one wants to buy shit. Like,
well, I'd say it's going a little too far. It's not a shit game. It's just it costs money when other games that are as good or better are free. It's not a shit game. It's just the proposition financially is just not there for it. It makes no sense.
It's a combination. Right. There's no better example out there because the game is not bad. Everyone who's played it said it's actually okay.
Right,
right. Its failure is obviously firmly standing on its woke DEI push, right? All the ugly characters.
That's what I meant by that. I didn't mean like the gameplay was shit. But.
Yeah, I mean, and when we say that, they only hear the surface level of what we're saying. But what people need to understand is attraction is a deep rooted thing in human beings. There's a reason why they went out and tested people's level of attraction. People try to put it up to subjectivity. It's not really subjective. People like to interact with things that they're attracted to. There is nothing attractive about Mr. Fat Indian or what race is he? I think there's nothing attractive.
He's indigenous.
Wow, I'm insulted. Wow.
Everyone
the mushroom looking fucker. Like people like things like no, I'm not even trying to be funny. People like things that they're attracted to. I'm sorry. There's a reason why ugly people just have a rougher life. Okay. There's a reason why a beautiful
selection. He's not wrong.
But there's a reason why a beautiful, like I'll give you guys a perfect.
Thank you for coming to Atreus' TED Talk.
Let me give you guys a prime example of what I'm talking about. I never understood the concept of people trying to insult a woman by calling her a broke bitch or something like that. When she could literally go down to Miami and be on a yacht tomorrow with $4 in her pocket.
True.
For nothing. Okay, it doesn't matter because attractive people. There's a reason why most of the CEOs are 6 foot and above. There's a reason why if you're taller, you're more likely to get a job. People just like attractive things. And these people are trying to circumvent that. And that's part of what Grums is talking about when you got these uglified characters. And then you add on the fact that it's DEI related.
You said CEO, and that's my trigger word. Because actually, if you look at investment records,
Grums, you're a little low.
Oh, yeah. If you look at CEO records, that's my trigger word. Because if you look at investor records, actually, your investments with attractive CEOs tend to do worse than your stock with a unattractive CEO because someone has something to prove and the other person has an easier road and just gets promoted based on their looks.
But
were you just trying to secretly tell us you were ugly? Is that what that was? Like,
no, but
I'm not attractive.
So what's the deal with Kathleen Kennedy then?
She's
Hillary Clinton.
Well, what do you mean?
It applies differently for women. What's the deal with Kamala Harris?
Like how's she doing with Disney is what I mean.
There is what Atreus is saying is substantially psychologically rooted in all of us. There is, of course, a subjective, lens that you apply when you look at beauty. Everyone has a different opinion on beauty, but what the actual person should reflect is not necessarily beauty; it's grace. When characters are not graceful, it doesn't matter if they are like beautiful or not, or hot or not. But if they look at the new Lara Croft, she is not graceful anymore. She doesn't convey that elegance. And look at this. This is not grace.
That is beauty. Full beauty.
Jesus Christ.
Can you handle all that?
And that's what's missing in these characters. It's not about if you want to choose someone who is maybe uglier in real life because he has some sort of, all right, you can do that, but still let that character have some sort of grace, of decency, of humbleness. Then still the character will somehow kind of impact us. But if you create these chubby monsters, the silo of unholiness, then of course people will back away from this stuff.
From the perspective of a developer, imagine designing this character. What is going on?
What is going on?
When
they saw Cobra Kai. They saw the main character of Cobra Kai, the kid, Xyotol, whatever his name is, and they said, let's take that and make him fat. That's it. This guy looks like him, but fat.
It's the activists that are working with this.
Not happy having to create characters like this. There's no joy in creating this, right? It gets, and they say that the leads push it, so it's pushed down from the leads, and it's no fun to make them. So I don't know why they do it.
Then everyone's afraid to step up and be like, "What the hell are we doing?" Because no one wants to be fired or pushed out of the group, so it turns into this.
For me personally, and my own opinion, this game died for two very specific reasons, right? So number one, you led your marketing and your display of your game with a divisive nature, right? When you start doing the woke shit, the pronouns and all that stuff, and you start talking about that diversity and all that bullshit, you're immediately going to divide your potential client base by whatever the number is. I don't know. Clearly, it's massively on our side, right?
That was the first thing we heard, was that this game has pronouns. That was the first I ever heard.
It was the first picture you saw.
You got to be historically correct here, because you're both. I say this all the time. I was watching the PS Live event. This was the first trailer of the PS Live event. 10 seconds into the trailer, we didn't know anything about DEI. We didn't know anything about pronouns. All we had seen were some off-brand Guardians of the Galaxy characters in a cutscene. In the chat of 500,000 people almost was spamming L rapidly.
DEI.
This is more. This goes far beyond DEI and ugly characters and whatnot. People rejected this out of principle 10 seconds into a reveal trailer.
Well, like I was saying, hold on, I didn't finish. Hold on. So, like I was saying, it's for me, it's the divisive nature of how they marketed it. Because again, they could spam L whatever, but if you came out later on with a fire gameplay trailer, because that was just a CGI trailer. If you came out with a fire gameplay trailer and showed off some fire characters that people can actually get behind, then you could have probably reversed a lot of the damage from a terrible opening CGI trailer. Although first impressions are everything. That goes beyond gaming.
Yeah,
and
that's all I was trying to get at, was the first impressions. Is when you say they led with something divisive, and they actually didn't. They led with something that was the opposite of divisive. They led with something that was just bland and boring that no one was interested in. There wasn't even division there, because if there was division, there would have been W's and L's in the chat. Nope, just L's.
And the second reason that the game failed is just on it. Well, so it failed twice for the same reason. They're gatekeeping their game in two different ways. They're gatekeeping the game from a divisive standpoint and how they talked about it, how they marketed it. Their characters are clearly made with DEI in mind. That's going to turn people off. And then you gatekeep the game because you're competing against free-to-play games with a $40 gatekeeping price tag. You combine both of those things, your game's dead, bro. There's no fucking way. You would have to be well above average to come anywhere close to getting a large amount of people to spend money on a franchise and a game that should otherwise be free to play like it's competition. You have to. So when you come out with a game, like you said, you come out with a bland and boring first impression CGI trailer and you're getting L's spammed in the chat, and then you tell people you're going to charge $40 for that L, they're not really going to be super excited to want to go check out this game. They're like, skip. And like I tell people all the time, when it comes to content creation, you only have maybe 30 seconds or so to really hook someone on a video, and then a minute to keep them on the video.
Actually, the first decision is being made after 3 seconds.
I know that, but I'm like realistically speaking, according to my view duration, like you have 30 seconds to a minute to really try to keep someone on a video. Otherwise, they're gonna be gone. So imagine a trailer, a trailer like that. How are you going to keep someone interested for the long term when you're showing something that's so bland and boring? They're going to be like, yeah, no, I'm good. I'm skipping. It's good.
It's got no character. And
Most
really
people won't come back.
I was going to say it's interesting that natural selection came up so quickly in our discussion about it, like almost immediately it was raised because it exists completely in nature, and standards are always going to be different for men and women in terms of beauty and attraction in general. It works with products as well. So when your first impression of this game is robo pronouns, and then you realize that this is just a DEI game, excuse me, DEI is the antithesis of natural selection, which is why everybody, especially now we've been trained to a little bit, has rejected it outright. So as soon as you see the first sign of that, you're like, oh, okay, they're trying to lie to us again. And then you put it again behind a prohibitive price wall. You're fucked. You got no chance in hell.
Well, but I mean, I want to drive home when the PlayStation event had if I remember correctly, about 460,000 people watching live. Now, I don't know how. That's a pretty hard to for the human mind to wrap the head around. Imagine standing in front, giving a speech to 460,000 people. That's a good sized city. So imagine an entire city is just sitting there, just lambasting to the nth degree the first 10 seconds of this trailer when you just see these cast of colorful characters, some of the better looking characters, mind you. So we know nothing about pronouns or this fat kid or anything yet. Just like a couple aliens and a human Asian looking chick on some sort of space heist, and people are like, "Yep, been there, done that. Don't give a fuck." There's so much more wrong with this game than just the wokeness and the DEI stuff. The interest, the idea that in 2024, after Overwatch has been around for years, and after all these other free to play live service games have been around for years, they're already having dwindling playing numbers. The fact that you limp to the barn with this and your best sales pitch is, but we have cutscenes. Are you fucking retarded?
Yeah, it's generic. No. There's nothing that makes it stand out except things we don't like.
It's not even just that they had the cutscenes. They really thought, this is what I always tell y'all about feminine warfare. They thought that naming it some other bullshit was going to bring what did you call it, Hypno? The baguettes? Like, who the bitch are you trying to give me
the vignettes.
The vignettes. What I said baguettes. I don't know what the fuck. Fucking vignettes. Like, who hears that? Like, ooh, a vignette. I want to check that out. I want to pay $40 to figure out what that is. If you don't get the fuck out of here, what the hell?
Whoever, you know what this is a result of? This is a result of becoming an echo chamber and only listening to people that reassure you.
Yep.
I am flabbergasted at the developers and the people behind this game that are surprised at this launch. Like, we all saw it coming out. We're all like, oh, this is going to be good. Like, how bad it's going to be. And across Twitter, across all their social medias, they're like, oh, we're playing it. We're excited about the launch. We're doing this with that, with it. Like, they are so caught up in their own echo chamber that they have no idea what reality is about to smack them in the face with.
Oh, they had a lot of feedback. I mean, so, my sources were telling me inside the studio that basically, and Hypno's right about this, it came from Director of Communications at Firewalk Studios, Scott Lowe, in an email to the whole team when they got all the feedback and the pushback on the internet about how awful the game characters were. Basically, Scott Lowe dismissed it as white noise, and they were told to ignore. They were told to ignore
white
all
noise.
the feedback.
White.
Did anyone call him a racist for using that purely racist term, white?
Yeah, it's white noise. It's racist feedback. They absolutely knew going in, and this is my point all along, is as long as you have a culture of fear with DEI, and DEI is a tool for that, you can't have honest conversations about how to fix your game. And this is going on all over the AAA gaming space. And this is why you have suckier and suckier games. It's because you can't dare to bring something up at the meeting like, hey, maybe we should drop pronouns. Because as soon as you do, it's off to the HR office with you.
Well, fear only works as long as everyone complies with it. That's why after a while, within the human heart especially, you just get so sick and tired of being afraid. And that's where the courage comes from, whether it's to speak your mind, to speak out, or to take action against it. That's why the old what was that fucking franchise called again? Hunger Games quote. Hope is the only thing stronger than fear. So thankfully, more and more developers, such as yourself, Grums, are speaking out, and slowly but surely, these games, these projects are going to be exposed for the laughing stocks there are. Concord was out of date as soon as it went into development. 6 years, $150 million, and not even 700 people play it peak. If that ain't a disaster.
8 years.